Live, live, intro. Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good looking people. Remember, you're good looking, so always looking for and finding the good. And here you found the goodest good possible, the greatest show about happiness, joy on the internet. Finding happiness and joy with Edwin and Barry. There is no greater show on earth. Welcome. Get ready. Buckle up because you're about to find happiness and joy. Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, you're good-looking because you're always looking for and finding the good. Have we found good? There is no good guest than possibly on the internet when you're finding happiness with my dear friend Edwin. We call him Double E, and your humble host, Barry Shore, the ambassador of joy. So we're going to just jump right in. And I'm going to stop talking because we all want to hear from this amazing being, again, a dear friend, Edwin Edebiri, who's, again, we call him Double E. He is the master of happiness. I'm the ambassador of joy. And we have joined together to share with you, the world. There are tens of thousands of people watching this right now. We ask you to share it with 5 people. That's all, just 5. So we'll touch, God willing, 100,000 people at least every time. And then we'll get to 1 million. When we get to 1 million, we'll do more. And then we'll touch the tipping point and make sure that every person on the planet is touched with happiness and joy. So Edwin, without further ado, first of all, hello.
Hey, Barry, you are awesome, man. I am so happy to be here. There's joy and happiness come together. Hey, there is no other combination. There is no other place anybody needs to be right this very moment, because the purpose of life is to be happy and to have joy inside of you. It is exciting. I'm glad to be here.
Well, we're glad that you're here because together we do things that make a difference in the world. I will tell you, Double E is a madman. And he loves that because MAD is a great acronym that stands for make a difference. So, Edwin, let's just start with the simple things of, hey, who are you? Where do you come from? And what's this all about?
Yes, absolutely. And thank you so very much. And folks, it's really, really simple. One day, man, back in 2009, just woke up out of, meditation, went onto the street and just start interviewing people about happiness, and one person led to 2 and 2 to 3. And by the time you've talked to 1,000 people or more about one single subject, you start to know a thing or two about the subject, okay? And so yes, as a chief happiness officer, my focus is really understanding why some people are happy, why others are not happy, but more than that, how do we move the unhappy people into the happy column? And it's been very exciting. My work has been recognized at the United Nations, and we just want to have impact on the globe. Barry, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Whoa, first of all, thank you, wonderful Edwin. So I have been dubbed the ambassador of joy by the international press. And I want to mention 2 things in that. Number one, when people hear joy or people hear happiness, they're wondering what's the difference. And we're going to talk about that and what's the difference and what's the same. And joy is a wonderful acronym that stands for Journey of You. And I want to emphasize this just for a moment, Edwin. As much as Edwin is the master of happiness, and I'm the ambassador of joy.
The chief happiness officer.
Very good. He's a chief happiness officer, CHO. Yeah. This show is really all about you. YOU. That's why you tuned in. You tuned in because you care the most in the entire world about you. I'll just give you a little bit of a background here. As you can see, I'm older than Edwin. Chronologically, I'm 74. Metabolically, I'm 46 because I swim 2 miles a day. My mental acuity is 28 because I work with a lot of
Yes.
people from 23 to 30 on the internet and building amazing sites and community and such. And my SOW, like Edwin's, is 8. So people say, what's an SOW? What are you, a sow? Or you sow? SOW stands for sense of wonder. I'm an 8-year-old. And you really want to be somewhere between 6 and 9. You don't below 6, you're still looking for things. After 9 double digits, they're coming in on you. So stay between 6 and 9, like around 6, 7, 8, 9. And that's your sense of wonder in the world. And that's what spurred on wonderful Edwin to go out in the street. You hear what he said? And begin to interview people one at a time. That's it. And 1 led to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 6, 9. 1,000 people he interviewed on this amazing subject, which everybody, I'm talking about everybody in the world, there are no barriers, what color, what beliefs, no matter what, everybody strives to be happy. So Edwin, let's examine some things about you personally. Where do you come from geographically? And where are you physically living now? And what is the difference between the two places, your birthplace and now your resident?
Well, originally, I'm from Nigeria and I'm still a Nigerian. I promised my grandma when I left the country, I wasn't going to lose my accent. So I've managed to keep that accent, and so that's fantastic. And I want to keep the accent for the rest of my life. Okay. Yeah. Now I'm based in California, in Northern California. And just last year I was in Nigeria and coming back here. Aside from the weather, folks, it's really not that different. I think the people are wonderful everywhere you go. And that's what I have found out. And so Barry, it's been really exciting experience for me. And you mentioned that I interviewed over 1,000 people, and I did that in about 4 or 5 different continents, okay? And this was face-to-face interview. It wasn't like Zoom or stuff. And I find out that people are people. Every single place they go, and they seek the same thing. They want to be happy. They want to find joy in them. And it's been very exciting experience.
So I want to make mention to people, you said Nigeria. So I
Yes.
know that a lot of people are geographically challenged in the world. Let me just say from what I know, Nigeria is a large country in what we'll call West Africa.
That is
And
correct.
in the bulge of West Africa. Nigeria, when I say large, I think in terms of size, it's about the size of Texas and California combined. Is that fair to say?
That would be fair, yes.
Okay, so we're talking big.
Yes.
And much like Texas.
And with 200 million plus people, okay?
How much? Say again.
200 million plus.
Okay, so let's be blunt, everybody. Most people don't even know where Nigeria is. So I urge everybody to make sure you look it up on the map and just get a sense and understand what wonderful Double E just told us. 200 million people. The United States of America has 330 million, we'll call it.
Yeah.
The whole European Union has about 300 million. So Nigeria is about 2/3 the population, one country of all of Europe, of all of the United States. And the interesting thing I find is that Nigeria is rich not just in natural resources like oil and gold and minerals and agriculture, but rich in the minds of people, because so many people that I know from Nigeria are highly educated, right, Edwin? I mean, talking about doctors, lawyers, engineers. And I want to make mention of something else, that Edwin didn't escape from Nigeria. He made a conscious choice to come to the United States because he believes, and he knows now, that it would further his abilities to share with humanity his greatness, which is he's what I call a cog, a channel of goodness. So I just want to make everybody aware, Nigeria is a big place. He didn't flee. He didn't cross the border illegally. He came here with a mindset. And part of the mindset is, I'm here to share with the world. And that's why Barry and Edwin are together today. And Edwin and Barry. So let's go to a deep question, wonderful Chief Happiness Officer. What is happiness? After interviewing 1,000 people, speaking on stages, working daily and building your community and such, everybody asks the same question. If it's possible, can you help define for us what is happiness?
Well, and that's the thing. And to answer that question, Barry, you've traveled around the world. I've traveled around the world. There's about 8 billion plus people on this planet Earth that we are in. And I can start to say that every single person would define happiness a little bit differently, because happiness means different thing to different people, and there's about 8 billion different human beings with different need of happiness. Okay, so I want to kind of put that out there. So don't try to say, oh, I got to fit into this definition of happiness, and then if I don't fit into it, I cannot find happiness. There's none of that at all. You create your own happiness and you create your own definition of it. Now, having said that, there are certain characteristics that we have found out from talking to a lot of people, and this is from my own personal experience. Okay, so I've come down to say, okay, happiness, of course, we all know it's an emotion. We know that, okay, but we got to go a step further than that. And to say it includes contentment, okay, you have to be content. You have to have pleasure in your life, and you have to have joy. So those are the kind of characters that I fuse together in a state of mind, okay? Because that is what it is. Happiness is a state of mind that is characterized with those ingredients that I just told you. And so if you are content with life, if you have pleasure in life, you have joy in life, you are on your way. You have happiness in yourself. So that's what I see, Barry. What do you see? And also I want you to break down joy. For people that are waiting to hear the ambassador of joy, it's okay. What is joy? You talk to the rest of talk to the world about that.
So, first of all, I love what you just said because it's true. You see, the genius of Edwin and why we're together is because he speaks truth. And it's I also think that's a fundamental of being happy and in living in joy. That you said contentment, being happy with what you have. So I just want to make mention of two things quickly about Edwin because he beams. See, when I look at Edwin, I see beams of light everywhere. And if you look at his background, that's not a green screen. Those are musical instruments that he plays because you know why? That helps make him happy. That brings happiness. When he strums, he's bringing joy and happiness into the world because that's what music is. Music is that universal language, if you allow me to say that, wonderful Edwin, that touches everybody. 8+ billion people, as he said, and growing. Everybody has a slight different aspect of happiness, and yet it's all the same. See, isn't that wonderful? That's because the good Lord, the creator of the universe, has given us this universal ability to tap into what you called humanity. And I read something just this morning. I want to share it with you, wonderful Evan. Then I'll talk about joy. I was thinking about you. I was thinking about happiness and thinking about joy. And I saw these 4 words, which really touched me deeply. So I'm going to say them. I hope they get up on the screen when we do some graphics here.
Okay.
Happiness and joy opens the gates of light. Wow. Happiness and joy opens the gates of light.
Yes.
In my humble opinion, that's what joy does. That's what happiness is. It opens the gates of light because you said it beautifully before. There are people who are seemingly unhappy. Unhappiness, in my opinion, equals darkness. There's a dark part of people. When you give them the light, open the gates of light, by definition, you become light and easy and free and content, and therefore living in happiness and joy. Yes. So that I wanted to share that with you. That's what you do, Edwin. That's why I love you. You open the gates of light for the world.
And that's such a blessing. One of the things when you talk about therapy, and we're going to touch on this very briefly, although, the next episode will go into a little bit of detail because today, May is Mental Health Month. Okay, so we'll kind of touch a little bit on that. But one of the things I tell people, if you lock yourself inside the house and you're in complete darkness, it's very hard for you to be happy. Very, very hard for you to be happy. Okay.
By the way, good point. It doesn't matter if the house is 20,000 square feet and has all kinds of gizmos in it. You're not going to be happy.
You're not going to be happy. And then you step out of that house or you bring light into the house, okay? And all of a sudden, happiness is it. You are in the process of happiness. There is no way you cannot be happy with light in your life. It's just not even possible. And yes, I know that some people might be listening and say, hey, wait a second, that's easy for you and Barry to say, because you guys have just been happy or you're just full of joy. And now, Barry, tell a little bit about yourself so they can put this thing in proper perspective,
So first of all, I want to echo what you mentioned about May, where we are right now, is Mental Health Month. I like using mental wellness, but that's who we are. And because it is the mind that is directing everything. Let me tell a quick story, as you asked, wonderful Edwin, because people say, well, you guys are rich and famous and handsome and everything going well for you. You're right. It's true. We're rich and famous and handsome. Unless you go through strain and struggle, you can't get to success. So let me just tell you a brief, quick story, if I may. Imagine, if you can, standing up in the morning, hale and hearty, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound, and that evening being in the hospital, totally, completely paralyzed from the neck down. That's me. Not an automobile accident, not a spinal injury. A rare disease took over my body, and within a matter of hours, I was completely paralyzed, neck down, could only communicate by blinking my eyes. 144 days in the hospital. I was 2 years in a hospital bed in my own home. I couldn't turn over by myself. 4 years in a wheelchair. I had braces on both my legs, from my hips to my ankles, and that was progress. Thank God today, as you know, wonderful Edwin, I'm able to be vertical and ambulatory with the help of a 7-foot walking wand. So I'm a triped, not a biped, but I still can't walk up a stair by myself. I can't walk up a curb by myself. And I have help 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. But you hear my voice: positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant. By the way, it's all because of one word, Edwin, which I think is the bridge. That I just realized it's the bridge with happiness and joy. Happiness on one side of the bridge, joy on the other. And the bridge in the middle is called SMILE. Yes. Because SMILE is an acronym that stands for Seeing Miracles in Life Every Day. When you can see miracles in life every day, then guess what? You smile. And smile, as you know, Edwin, because you do it all the time. I mean, that's part of your life, is the great communicator. It's that sign of friendship everywhere in the world. Isn't that right?
It is. And I tell people, I say, smiling is laughing quietly, okay?
Wait a minute. I want you to repeat that 3 times. Say it again.
Smiling is laughing quietly, okay? And we all know that laughter is the best medicine, okay? So you laugh and bust it out, or you smile and laugh quietly. The brain understand what is going on. Okay, so this is exciting. This is really exciting. And I hope as people are listening to this, they understand. No matter what the situation you are, make a decision. And sometimes that decision itself is a very hard one. Okay, Barry is swimming every day because he decided to do so. He could have said, wait a second, I can't even stand by myself. I can't even climb a step. I should just forget about all of this. Can you imagine the terrible thing that would have happened to the rest of the world if there was no ambassador of joy? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine for a second that Barry is just on the bed, just lying down and just blaming God for what happened to him and all of those kind of stuff? Imagine the number of lives Barry has touched just because he smiled. How cool is that? How powerful is that? So no matter what's going on in your life right this very moment, and yes, sometimes life can throw you a really bad cup, okay? Like Barry experienced, very strong and hearty in the morning, and then in the night, totally different story. And yet you can still pick yourself up. You can still pick yourself up. It's not easy, but I'm telling you, if you hang with Barry and Edwin, you're going to find it a little bit easier, okay? Because that's what this is all about. Like, Barry, what do you think?
First of all, I'm glad I tuned in to listen to you. I hope that the thousands and tens of thousands of people that are tuned in and are listening, learning, feeling, and saying, you know something, I like this. What can we do? So I'm going to say back for both Edwin and myself, I'm going to mention two things. One is that Edwin mentioned to me yesterday, we talked preparation for the show about the idea of impact, because that's what Edwin lives for. That's what Barry lives for. And we urge everybody watching, everybody listening. That's what you want to live for. Impact. You're here to impact the world positively. And I've found a wonderful, that I built an acronym, because I love acronyms to help people, for impact. So if I'm going to just read it to you, because then I want to do one small thing that's going to help everybody. Impact stands for insights, make positive actions, create transformation.
Wow.
Create transformation. So I'm going to say this to everybody. A lot of people like to listen to things because they get inspired. Inspiration. I love it. Yeah. But then afterwards, okay, you go back to what you were doing. Right. So inspiration doesn't have that lasting power all the time unless you're continually listening to things and getting upbeat, listening to this podcast and sharing with other people. The other thing is information. Well, we're sharing information, and you know that the information is readily available on the internet. I mean, just there's so much information, it's overload, right?
Yes,
information overload. What really Edwin and Barry are discussing, in my humble opinion, is the T word. The T word is transformation. Yes. You want to do what we call a shift in perspective. Now, Edwin, as you know, I've mentioned to you before, I've been working with people for more than 42 years. I've helped more than 1 million people, actually. I did a calculation when I was thinking about it. Yeah. And in all those years, 97.2% of people, when they think of shift, for some reason they drop the F and the other stuff happens. You got to be careful with your Fs. It's shift in perspective. So in our few remaining moments, I'm going to ask you, wonderful Edwin, please give one small practical tip that people can use to integrate in their lives to help with the T word, that shift and cause transformation. One small tip. What can we share with people today?
So since we are talking about May being Mental Wellness Month or Mental Health Month, I think there are two ways to look at that. Some people might look at, say, mental health, and they're looking at people who are suffering, like, okay, they have a mental issue or difficulty or stuff like that. And that's true. That's real. First of all, I look at it as something positive, because I say, hey, if you pay attention to your mental health on a day-to-day basis, just like you pay attention to your physical health, that's going to extend your mental and your happiness, okay? So we have to look at it both positive and negative. Positive is everything is going well and you want to keep it that way, okay? You want to continue to exercise yourself mentally and stuff like that. So, and then there's the part where things are already tough and you want to improve. Now, I want to deal with the first part first. One thing that people ask me, Edwin, how can you increase your happiness? And I think that's like what Barry is saying. How do you shift? Okay. I say, keep it very simple. Keep it simple. Okay. Keep it really simple. Wake up in the morning, as your feet touches the ground, promise yourself that you are going to be happy for 24 hours. This is a promise you make to yourself. You look at the mirror and you promise yourself you're going to be happy for 24 hours. Now, I know some of you are there saying, Edwin, give me a break. 24 hours is eternity. I can't do that. I say, okay, promise yourself you're going to be happy for 1 hour. Okay, just take whatever you can, whether it's even 10 minutes. This is where the transformation happens. That's where the shift is in the promise. Okay, whether you promise yourself you're going to be happy for 1 minute, get it started. Okay, now here is the deal though. Here's what I find out from talking to thousands and thousands of people. Usually when you make a promise like that, the universe throw all kind of crap at you. Okay, it's kind of test you. Is this person really serious? They say they're going to be happy. Give me a break. Who are you? What do you mean? And stuff like that. Things start to happen. Yes, if you promise 24 hours or you promise 1 hour or you promise 10 minutes and things start to happen, guess what? Don't quit. The one thing that I want to share with you that's very critical, folks, is you have to have compassion. And I'm not talking about compassion for others, which is great, but I'm talking about self-compassion. Okay, so let's say you break your promise about 4 hours into a 24-hour promise. Don't start telling yourself, oh, look at that. Everybody's happy and I can even be happy for 24 hours. What kind of human being I am? I should just give up. You can't do that. You should pat yourself in the back and say, hey, guess what? I did for 4 hours, or I did for 10 minutes. I did for 2, whatever it is. Celebrate your progress and then renew your promise. Okay, never give up. Just renew your promise and then you keep doing it and you keep doing it. Barry, practice makes improvement when it comes to happiness and joy. It doesn't make perfect. Okay, so nobody should look for perfection. Just look for small, tiny improvement as you shift in your life. That's what I see, Barry. What do you think?
You can't buy this. The thousands and tens of thousands of people that have tuned in, they are on their feet, applauding and saying, I promise. Yes. Remember, the middle letter of promise is I.
Yes.
So just to reiterate, the one practical thing that our beloved Double E is sharing with us, you want to be happy, get up in the morning, feet touch the ground, look in the mirror. I promise I will be happy for fill in the blank.
Fill in the blank, yes.
And then keep your promise, whatever it is, because you're on the road. You're making progress. You want to fly. And fly stands for first, love yourself. Have compassion on yourself. What I would like to suggest as one small practical tip for living in joy daily is to learn about ESP. If you ask anybody about ESP or you do a quick Google, it'll tell you it stands for extrasensory perception. It does. But let's look at it from the point of view of the ambassador of joy. ESP stands for everyday simple pleasures.
Wow.
And you articulated one of the greatest, Double E, because I'll tell you a personal story and I'll tell you why. He said, when your feet touch the ground, at that moment is an electricity that's going through your body. Your feet touch the ground. It means you're alive.
Yes.
I can tell you personally, for 2 years in my hospital bed, I couldn't turn over and move by myself.
Wow.
My vision for 2 years was to be able to sit up and put my feet over the side of the bed and touch the ground. That was my vision for 2 years. Took me 2 years to do it. I did it. It still takes me 10 minutes to get out of bed. So when you said that, I was tingling. My feet touched the ground. So everybody, I urge you, ESP, everyday simple pleasures. Find one something that just, like you said, Edwin, that makes you laugh, which is inside your being is tingling. You need to blow your nose and there's a tissue paper handy. Yeah. Everyday simple pleasures. So I would like to do 2 things, Edwin, with your permission. Even without your permission, but your permission. One is we're going to hug. And our hug is for all the thousands and tens of thousands of people that are listening. And hug stands for, ready? Heartfelt, unlimited giving. And then we're going to do a quick blessing. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. And our blessing from wonderful Edwin and Barry, from happiness and joy, is go forth. Live exuberantly. Spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go
And
now.
you stay happy.
Make a difference.
All right.
You. Don't go away, Edwin. Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, you're good-looking, so always looking for and finding the good. And here you found the goodest good possible, the greatest show about happiness, joy on the internet. Finding happiness and joy with Edwin and Barry. There is no greater show on earth. Welcome. Get ready, buckle up, because you're about to find happiness and joy.